Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? We're talking Starfighter. We're talking Ahsoka Season 2 yet again. The Rey movie could be saved, quote unquote, saved. And The Mandalorian and Grogu might just get a new trailer tonight, attached to the premiere of Tron Ares. We got a lot to talk about today. We are talking still about the craziness that happened on Tuesday. We got some insane Star Wars news as per usual. So let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? What's up, everybody? All right, so we got some pretty cool stuff going on today. There's a new update on YouTube. So we're actually sort of streaming to both YouTube Shorts and YouTube itself at the same time. We'll see how this goes. It's a new thing over at YouTube, so we'll see how it goes. But hopefully it goes good, and we got some new viewers today. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. We got some insane Star Wars news to talk about. Usually, I write down a bunch of notes before the stream starts, and usually it doesn't even take up half the page. But today we got a full page of notes. Full page of notes for Star Wars news, Ahsoka Season 2, Starfighter, two new Star Wars projects that are being announced this weekend at New York Comic-Con, and The Mandalorian and Grogu could be getting a new trailer and even some other stuff that's along those lines. So we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. But let's start off the stream the only way we know how, by saying hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Starship 66, what is up? Dustin Kennedy in the house. Nathan, how we doing? Star Wars Skywalker Academy, sorry. What is up? RG in the house. Cleve Morris, how we doing? John Groom, what is up? Holly, how we doing? I Haja in the house. Darth Plagueis lives, what is up? Clan Brandalorian, what is up? Matt, how we doing? Pipeline Podcast, what is up? Ian, how we doing? Star Wars Order in the house. Cole, what is up? Darth Utini, nice name. How we doing? Steve, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, this is a little strange because we got two different things going on at the same time, but we're gonna figure it out and we'll do it at the same time. So, with that being said, let's talk first about the Rey movie being saved. Let's go in order. How can this Rey movie be, quote unquote, saved? I know many of you in the chat either are very excited for a Rey movie or are like, no, Mike, don't give me any more Rey. I don't want it. No more Rey, please. And hey, there's both sides of that. I personally think that Rey as a character deserves a lot more storytelling. I want her to get a lot more story told. So, with that, let's dive into how this Rey movie could technically be saved. Now, last week we talked about the Ryan Gosling trilogy. I know. The leaks saying that this Starfighter movie could be the beginning of a new trilogy. Now, we've been talking about for months, if not years at this point, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be the beginning of a new trilogy, and I still believe that to be true. However, to say that Starfighter is the beginning of a new trilogy would change pretty much everything we thought we knew about this movie. Because all we really know right now is that it's a standalone film. It's not connected to the Skywalker saga. It's not connected at all. It's not. But this is saying it is. It's going to tie into the Rey movie. It's going to tie into all the other stuff that came before. If we're talking Mara Jade, if we're talking Luke Skywalker's son is the main lead of the movie, that seems pretty connected to the Skywalker saga. Maybe it's to throw us off the scent, but how does this affect the Rey movie? I'm glad you asked. Well, let's take a look at this article that I got pulled up right here. Actually, I'm going to put this over there. So if it looks stupid, just let me know. If the stream looks stupid, just let me know. Okay? Thank you. Okay. The Rey movie was announced at Star Wars Celebration. It's not going to happen. Well, the Rey movie was announced 2.5 years ago, along with the Dawn of the Jedi and Dave Filoni's movie. All three of those movies are haven't filmed yet. Not only have they not filmed yet, but they haven't even begun production yet. Dawn of the Jedi being delayed because of this whole thing with James Mangold now going to sign over with Paramount, and Dawn of the Jedi is just a ways away anyway. The Rey movie was originally supposed to be the first one released into theaters, but that got delayed because they looked in the mirror and they said, oh, wait, the sequel trilogy was very divisive, whether you like it or not. And we don't want to come back to the movie theater after 7 years to the sequel content because you're going to have that divisive fandom come back with it. A huge divide of fans just going, no Rey, yes Rey, war. And we don't want that. So the Rey movie needs to get all the help it can get. It needs to be quote unquote saved. And that's where we are today. On what's today? October 9th, 2025. That's where we sit right now. How can the Rey movie and the sequel trilogy content be elevated to a whole nother level where even people who didn't like the sequel trilogy can watch it, appreciate it, and maybe even enjoy themselves? So that's where all this comes into play. That's what we're talking about today. How this news, all the stuff we've sort of been talking about for the last couple of weeks and what's happening today, how that can save, again in quotations, because for many of you, you're like, the Rey movie doesn't need saving. And I kind of agree with you. But how it can be elevated for the majority of fans to actually welcome it with open arms. We'll put it that way. So let's start with this article. But first things first.
This is where the fun begins.
Okay. Now I feel like we're on the right spot. Let's put up a poll actually here. Let's put up a poll before we do any of this. Let's put up a poll. How do we do this? Oh, there we go. Do you, oh, wow, let's hang on, rephrase. Are you excited? Let's start there. For the Rey movie. Yes or no? We'll keep it simple early. Are you excited for the Rey movie? Let's see. And while you do that, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look. Okay. So, well, there's 2 new projects being announced that, or actually one comes out today and one is being announced this weekend at New York Comic-Con. But one of the projects that comes out today is related to the Rey movie. We'll talk about it in a second. So, here's how the Rey movie is going to be quote unquote saved. Starfighter. Now, we've talked about Starfighter quite a bit over the last maybe, I don't know, month since they announced the cast, since they announced they were going to start filming, since they've been releasing these set photos and telling us that that Amy Adams is playing a Jedi and her son will be Force sensitive. Crazy. Okay, but here's this article. I think Star Wars Starfighter's Jedi rumors are what's best for the franchise. Take a look at this. With the cast that includes Oscar-nominated actor Ryan Gosling and Amy Adams, Star Wars Starfighter is shaping up to be one of the most exciting projects Lucasfilm has in the works. The fact that director Sean Levy is able to attract top-tier talent to the film is an encouraging sign for its potential quality. Though official plot details remain under wraps for the time being, the only thing that's been confirmed by Lucasfilm is that the Starfighter story is set a handful of years, 5 years, after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, meaning fans will see the state of the galaxy in following the fall of the First Order. In the meantime, the rumor mill is seemingly churning up some fascinating bits about the movie. Now, before we even talk about that, where this movie takes place is, again, what's going to help the Rey movie. If the Rey movie was the first thing after the sequel trilogy, you're going to have that divide of fans going, no, thank you. Nope, don't want it. But if there's a really good movie before it, if Starfighter is this massive blockbuster success, people love the character of Ryan Gosling, they love the kid character who's Force sensitive, they love possibly Mara Jade and others that are in there. Maybe the villain that's set up is really, really good with Matt Smith playing a villain and Mia Goth playing a villain, whether they're Sith or smugglers or whatever. The setup for a post-sequel world starts with Starfighter. So if it's a big success, then the Rey movie is only going to benefit from that. But let's keep going. As in the case of all rumors, fans should take this with a giant grain of salt. Go in your cabinet, find the biggest grain of salt you've ever seen in your life, and take it with this news. That sounded violent. I'm sorry. Just, just it might not be true, okay? That's all I mean. Might not be true. But the latest speculation suggests that there will be a heavy presence of Jedi elements in Star Wars Starfighter, and possibly a substantial connection to the sequel trilogy. At first glance, this could be frustrating for some viewers. However, what had the potential to be a fun standalone movie demonstrating a breadth of storytelling possibilities in the Star Wars sandbox could end up being tied to the pre-existing plot thread and the franchise's larger mythology. Let's be honest, there was no world where Starfighter was not going to connect to anything. It had to connect to something. But this runs the risk of making the galaxy feel smaller. But I think it could be just what Star Wars needs right now. And of course, it brings up the Amy Adams character and the possibility of her being Mara Jade. Now, let's take a step back here for a second before we keep reading that article. It can be connected to the Skywalker saga while also not being, and that sounds very counterproductive there. But Mara Jade, let's talk about the character. Mara Jade, as a character in Legends, is the hand of Palpatine, as they call her. And then when Palpatine dies, her mission is to kill Luke Skywalker. To make a really long story short, that doesn't happen. And Luke uses his nice rizzing abilities to, Force Riz, actually they call it Force Riz, to persuade her to the light side. Yes. And in doing so, they actually fall in love. They get married. They have kids. And the whole thing is great. It's great until she dies. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But the fact that Amy Adams right here could be playing a canon version of Mara Jade in Starfighter, yes, it connects to Luke Skywalker, obviously, but it's not a direct line connection because Mara has yet to be brought into canon. That story of if they had a relationship before the sequel trilogy, and even if they had a child, that hasn't been revealed yet. That hasn't been explained yet. So that is still very much up in the air right now. And it would add so much more to the lore of the Skywalker saga, but also to Luke Skywalker's character specifically. It would also mean that the child in this movie, the Flynn Gray character, is likely to be Luke Skywalker's child. And again, that only benefits the Rey movie. If there's a Skywalker child being brought into that film, now you have hopefully more of a backing from fans, especially if it's like a Cade Skywalker or something along those lines, and he goes dark side, fights against Rey, and there's this epic battle between Skywalker and Rey. It would be great. However, that's all dependent upon Amy Adams being Mara Jade. And the only two pieces of evidence we have to suggest that is one, the leak that came out a couple weeks ago about her playing a Jedi and her son being Force sensitive, and two, her hair color. It's red. That's a pretty easy visual one right there. Red hair, love to see it. Okay, let me get to this super chat real quick, and then we'll keep reading. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. God damn, starting the stream off nice. I like that. Says, so if Mara is going to be in Starfighter, wouldn't she be in the Mandoverse too? Yes. Well, you bring up a great point. So if Mara Jade is being established in Starfighter, not only does that help the post-sequel stuff with the Rey movie, but it also helps the pre-sequel stuff. Because now you have to tell that story. Luke has not been that involved with the Mandoverse. We've gotten 3 seasons of Mando, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew. 6 seasons of television. And Luke has been in 2 episodes. So it's not like Luke, Leia, Han are heavily involved in the Mandoverse. But Mara Jade could be. You know, she's a character that you haven't casted her yet, unless she's Amy Adams, but you haven't casted her yet. So a younger Mara Jade doesn't have to be deepfaked. She doesn't have to be like Mark Hamill's 73 years old being deepfaked to 25. You can cast a young actress to show up whenever you want her to. So you could technically use her a lot more than you'd use Luke Skywalker, Leia, or even Han, for that matter. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. I think if Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade and she's going to be in Starfighter, it will definitely lead to Mara showing up in the Mandoverse and playing a pretty big role in the Mandoverse too. You're going to see this connection between upcoming Star Wars projects, things that seem very unconnected, that take place in very different spots in the timeline, but they're all going to be connected. Stuff that even happens in like Maul Shadow Lord is going to be connected to hopefully Starfighter. Not in a very direct way, like this character shows up there, that character shows up there. Hey, maybe. I mean, Darth Talon is still in the picture. But stuff in the Mandoverse and stuff in the post sequels are all going to be heavily connected. And stuff like Mara Jade could be one of those connecting pieces, especially if she goes the same route that she did in Legends. But, let's keep reading. Okay. Here we go. What are Star Wars Starfighter's Jedi rumors? Glad you asked. Recently rumored, Star Wars Starfighter plot details circulated online, reporting, I'm guessing, that Flynn Gray's character, who is rumored to be the nephew of Ryan Gosling's character, is a Force-sensitive child being pursued by the film's villains. Matt Smith and Mia Goth, who are playing the villains, not Amy Adams. The other part of that is that Amy Adams is said to be playing the mother of Flynn Gray's character, and she enlists Ryan Gosling's help to protect him. It's also been suggested that Amy Adams' mysterious character is a former Jedi, which means she's either an Order 66 survivor, which I seriously doubt, or she's a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple survivor, which makes a lot more sense because she's not old enough to be an Order 66 survivor. The weirdness about this, and maybe you guys can help me in the chat, is how does this work? Why is she enlisting Ryan Gosling's character to protect her child? If she's a Jedi, a former Jedi at that, wouldn't she be the best bet to protect him? Why is she enlisting this random Starfighter pilot? Maybe not random if they are related, but still. Why not just take her herself? Now, yes, I'm going to do the classic Mike thing and I'm going to kill off a character. I think Mara Jade's dead. I think she's dead. By the time of this movie, I think she's gone. Head chopped off by Kylo Ren. No, I don't know. I don't know how she dies, but I think she's dead. I think her probably last wish or something like that was to protect this child, and maybe Ryan Gosling happens upon that. There has to be a reason, if this is technically Mara Jade, why Luke doesn't know about the child. Why wouldn't Luke be looking for it? You know? They chase her instead of the kid. Interesting. So she's sort of using the kid, or she's using herself as a distraction to keep the kid safe. I kind of like that. He has some strength that we don't know about. Well, if he's a Skywalker, if he's Luke's child, yes, this kid is special. Yes, this kid needs to be protected. But I still would think that she's the best bet to protect him. If she's a former Jedi. It could be that she's losing her mind. That's also a possibility. In Legends, Mara does hear Palpatine in her head, telling him, even after death, supposedly, somehow Palpatine returns, even after death, telling her to kill Luke Skywalker. Could be. My guess is that the villains don't know about the kid yet. So she's keeping it a secret. Interesting. Interesting. Dead parents happen too much. She didn't tell him. I think honestly, because it's Star Wars, I think it's going to be like poetry, it rhymes. It could be that Mara Jade died birthing this kid. And this kid's been on its own its whole life. Maybe. Either way, whatever Amy Adams' role in this movie is, it's going to be small. When they announced the cast, her name was last. Like, we know that Ryan Gosling and this kid are the main characters. We know that Matt Smith and Mia Goth are the main villains. These other actors, they're probably going to be more minor roles in this movie. They're not going to have that much screen time. And it would make sense if Amy Adams' only role was in a flashback because her character's dead. That makes sense. If Ryan Gosling is the uncle, then wouldn't that make Amy Adams' character his sister/sister-in-law? Yes, it would. But the uncle thing hasn't been confirmed either. Yeah. Imagine how angry people would be if they brought Mara into canon and she's already dead. Yes, but no. Because you bring up a great point. Why kill her off if you haven't even introduced her into canon? But you're introducing her into canon years and years and years after the fun parts of her story have happened. She's already had this kid and she might already be dead. This is 5 years after the sequel trilogy. Mara's prime, so to speak, would be before the sequels, in the time between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, that 30-year sort of time gap there. So you can now, even if she is dead, go back and tell the beginnings of her story. Much like Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan in A New Hope is old. He dies. You're like, oh, great. What a cool character. And then you get the prequel trilogy where you get so much Obi-Wan. The Clone Wars, like so much Obi-Wan. Even a Kenobi series. You know Obi-Wan left, right, and center. Mara could be the same way. She dies in the first project that she's in, and then you get so much backstory in previous spots in the timeline in the Mandoverse, telling the story of how she comes into the story and falls in love with Luke Skywalker and they have a kid together. That would be pretty interesting. What if they show Mara in flashbacks fighting off villains at first? Like opening scene is her dying? That would be pretty crazy. Opening scene is her protecting the kid from these people and she died. Okay. Now we don't know who the villains of this movie are. But hear me out for a second. Just close your eyes and imagine for 1 second. The opening scene of Starfighter, by the way, titled Starfighter, is a purple lightsaber, Mara Jade's, a purple lightsaber played by Amy Adams, swinging around versus multiple red lightsabers. Darth Krayt, Darth Talon, other Sith Lords, fighting against Mara Jade. And then there's this kid, maybe he's like a baby. I don't know. And throughout this crazy fight, she somehow gets this kid on a ship and blasts him off into hyperspace. Somehow, some way. I don't know. I'm not writing the movie. Just bear with me. So the opening scene of this movie that you thought was going to be called Starfighter, or it is called Starfighter, you thought was going to be about a starfighter pilot, is multiple Sith, versus a former Jedi, Mara Jade, as she protects the child that's going to be the most important piece of the movie. This child that she sacrifices her life to rescue. Cold opening, Mara's death, kid gets rescued, and now the kid's the main character. Again, that's just me fanboy dreaming over here. That would be perfect. It would allow you to give Darth Talon screen time when you know that she's going to be brought in Maul Shadow Lord. And it would give you some pretty crazy storytelling in the future. If Matt Smith and Mia Goth are playing Sith Lords, a new sort of Sith order that doesn't follow the rule of two, now you're going to get some incredible stuff with the Rey New Jedi Order, where you have multiple Sith versus multiple Jedi, something we haven't seen in over 1,000 years in the Star Wars universe. Oh, It would be great. It would be great. But again, that's just me fanboy dreaming. That's just me fanboy dreaming. So let's keep reading this article. Let's keep reading the article. So, Amy Adams' character is enlisting Ryan Gosling to protect the child. It's unknown yet if she's an Order 66 survivor or if she was a part of Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple that was destroyed prior to the events of the sequel trilogy. Presumably, Ryan Gosling will embark on this mission to take his quote-unquote nephew, we don't know that for sure, somewhere safe, which would make Starfighter the latest in the growing line of Star Wars projects revolving around an adult guarding a Force prodigy. I mean, yeah. You could argue that Omega, with her abilities, not really Force sensitive, but still, it's sort of similar. And then Mando and Grogu, Obi-Wan and Leia in the Kenobi series. It is something that's very, very repetitive in the Star Wars universe. So I'm sure they're aware of that. And this has to be a different variation of it. It can't be the exact same story told over and over and over again. But I continue. As for where Ryan Gosling is looking to bring the Flynn Gray character, other rumors could shed light onto the specifics of his mission. Apparently, Starfighter is envisioned to be the first film of a new trilogy, which is what we talked about last week. And it's been teased that there will be a major cameo, that helps set up the sequel to this movie. Details are slim, but based off the rumors available, which again, take it with a giant grain of salt, the likeliest scenario is that Ryan Gosling is taking Flynn Gray's character to Rey, who is looking to start a training temple of her own with the new Jedi Order. Hopefully Finn's there. Hopefully it's not just Rey, and she's already gotten this Jedi temple started. But it sounds so familiar, just like the plot of Mando Season 2. But let's not forget Mando Season 2 is like their most successful thing on Disney+. And their most successful thing in probably the last decade. It sounds so familiar, and yet it sounds incredible. It will help the Rey movie beyond belief, because if the Rey movie goes from just being this standalone Rey movie, as we've been calling it for the last 2.5 years, and then it turns into the second episode of a trilogy, that changes things drastically. Rey is no longer the main character, and people can take that out of their brain. She is a main character, just not the main character. She's much like Obi-Wan in this scenario of the original trilogy, where she is a mentor. She's a master. She's not really going to be the main Luke Skywalker, Leia, Han type character. She's had that time in the sequel trilogy. She's now the mentor. And that, to me, honestly sounds amazing. But tell me what you think in the chat. Would this get you more excited for a Rey movie if it's the second of a trilogy? Or are you still like, no thank you, no thank you? Tell me in the chat. What do we think? By the way, this poll right now, 50-50. Oh, 51-49. All right, we'll leave it up there. We'll leave it up for a little bit. See if it changes. Do you think it's a better approach to have the Rey movie be the second episode of a trilogy, or do you want the Rey movie to be its own thing? What do we think? Own thing or second episode of a trilogy? I think, especially when it comes to Star Wars, trilogies work the best. It gets the fans excited. It allows you to watch the first movie with anticipation for the next two, looking for details of what's going to happen later down the line. The hype for The Force Awakens, just because that's what I was alive for. I wasn't alive in 1999 to get hyped up with The Phantom Menace. I wasn't even alive in 1977. Shocker. I get it. I look old. I know. But I was alive for 2015. And the hype around Star Wars, the hype around that first episode of a trilogy is something that we've rarely seen, or I've rarely seen, in the Star Wars fandom. I saw it around Mando Season 2, saw a little bit, glimpses of it around Andor Season 2, but it's something that's so hard to get a hold of. that excitement level from an entire fandom for something. And a trilogy is the easiest way to get there. So if Starfighter is revealed to be the beginning of a trilogy, that changes everything. My hype level goes from here all the way up to here immediately. Same thing with the Mandalorian and Grogu, honestly. I know that Lucasfilm wants it to be a trilogy. Disney wants to see a guaranteed success first. But if they announce The Mandalorian and Grogu to be the beginning of a new trilogy, it makes things so much more exciting. So much more. Yeah. Brett says, didn't Sean Levy say that this movie is an awesome standalone? Yes, but isn't Rogue One? Wasn't A New Hope? The whole idea of this movie being a standalone fully depends on whether it's a success or not. Rogue One's technically a standalone movie. It connects it's the opening crawl of A New Hope. How they obtained the Death Star plans is the plot of Rogue One. Technically a standalone movie, but heavily connected to what happens in A New Hope. Even A New Hope, when it was released in 1977, was supposed to be the only movie. That's why it ends in this nice, happy way with a medal ceremony and happiness and all that greatness. Yeah. Imagine Thrawn versus Rey. Well, no offense to Thrawn. If it's just the two of them in a room, Thrawn's dead. Like Thrawn's not force sensitive, so he really has to stay away from those force users. Yeah. Also, I love John Boyega, but a whole trilogy felt like him shouting Rey the entire time. Yes. You also have the opportunity to help a character like Finn if this is true. If Starfighter is the beginning of a new trilogy, Finn could play a pretty big role in that. I don't think he'll be one of the main characters. I still think it'll be Gosling and Flynn Gray's character. But Finn could be similar to an Obi-Wan in A New Hope, but maybe similar to a Yoda. I mean, maybe you switch the roles. Maybe Finn is the Obi-Wan and Rey is the Yoda. But in a new way, not just a carbon copy of what came before, you know? Yeah, no? The sleepover night in line at the theaters would be cool if they have back. Wait, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, waiting in line for the movie? I don't know if we do that anymore. I think they'll recast Finn. Absolutely not. There's no way. John Boyega is too big of a Star Wars fan, and so many people want him back. Give me a 1 into the chat if you want John Boyega back in Star Wars. Like, I think I know where this is going to go. People love John Boyega because he's a Star Wars fan. He's very much the Hayden Christensen of the sequel trilogy, where he loves Star Wars so much he gets cast in his dream role, and he gets a lot of crap. It's very, very similar to Hayden Christensen in the prequels. And look at all the ones. Of all the sequel characters, I think Finn is wanted back the most, just because of how his character didn't get the development it needed in the sequels. He was supposed to be a Force user. People wanted him to wield a lightsaber. Again, he does technically wield a lightsaber in The Force Awakens, but they wanted him to become a Jedi. Most people did. And I hope we get to see that. So we know that Ryan Gosling isn't a Jedi, but the rumor is that he's delivering a Force user. Yes. Very similar to The Mandalorian. Yeah. I want Samuel L. Jackson back. Mace Windu's alive. I know it. I don't think so.
Incorrect.
I mean, maybe. But I don't think so. At this point, I think it's too late. How would you introduce a character like that and explain where he's been this whole time? You know? Okay, but let's get back to this article. We got very sidetracked here. Let's get back to this article. Here's why Star Wars needs Starfighter's rumors Jedi connection. Here's why this movie needs to be the beginning of a trilogy, needs to connect to Mara Jade, needs to connect to Rey and Finn and all that. This is why it's a necessity at this point. There seems to be a shift in Lucasfilm's strategy moving forward. After years of developing Star Wars TV shows for Disney Plus, it appears the studio is pivoting back to the theatrical feature films. before Star Wars Starfighter premieres in 2027, Mandalorian and Grogu hits the big screen in May of 2026, kicking off what should be the new era of Star Wars movies. Meanwhile, the franchise's future on TV is murky. Ahsoka Season 2 is on the way, but after that, nothing. Nothing. There's no other Star Wars Disney Plus shows, or live action shows, I should say, because Maul Shadow Lord. But there's no live action Disney Plus shows after Ahsoka Season 2, at least on the schedule. Disney told Star Wars and/or creator Tony Gilroy that streaming is quote-unquote dead. They're moving to the big screen. Streaming is dead. Perhaps Lucasfilm no longer sees Disney Plus as the ideal platform for the new projects. I think of this as sort of just a money thing. You don't really make a lot of money when you make a $200 million Disney Plus series. But if you make a $200 million Star Wars movie, the chance of making $1 billion on that in the box office is a lot more likely than making not a lot of money off subscriptions on Disney Plus. So I think there's way more money to be made on the big screen than there is on the TV screen. So you're going to see a step back from Star Wars live action shows on Disney Plus, but I don't think it's going to disappear completely. I just think we don't have the next project announced yet. But let's keep going. If Lucasfilm plans on getting back to the movie business long term, there's a lot of pressure on Starfighter to be successful. The film needs to make a big splash in order for the studio to confidently move forward with other movie ideas. Mandalorian and Grogu feels like a safe box office bet given the popularity of the Mandalorian TV show, but Starfighter is a much, much, much more risky proposition on paper, since it will feature a fresh cast of characters audiences don't know. Arguably, the easiest way to put Starfighter in a position where it can make the most important big splash is to incorporate meaningful narrative connecting to the franchise's lore and previous movies, like Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker's son, give us Rey and Finn at the end of the movie, all that greatness, the Force, the Jedi, all of it. Give us everything. And the bad guys too. The villains need to be connected and make sense. They're the first villains since Palpatine. The Sith technically came to an end. If you believe Palpatine saying that I am all the Sith on Exegol, they came to an end on Exegol in The Rise of Skywalker. So what is the next villain? It's very, very difficult to top Palpatine, almost nearly impossible, but there are other options. Your Abeloths, your Grisks, your Vongs, your other Sith orders. There's other possibilities, but what are they going to do? How are they going to do that? Starfighter has all of it riding on its shoulders. Like it even says here, The Mandalorian seems like a guaranteed success. Maybe. I mean, some of you don't agree with me that it'll make $1 billion, but what are you going to do? Some of you guys are crazy. I am too, but you guys are crazy in this instance. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, I think, will make $1 billion, but some of you may disagree with that. It's a guaranteed success because of its success on Disney Plus, because of the popularity of the characters of Din Djarin, Grogu, etc. Starfighter has none of that. Doesn't have a Disney Plus show to go off of. Doesn't have fan favorite characters. Nothing. Nothing. The last time we did something like that, that was Skeleton Crew, which didn't get a lot of views, or The Acolyte, which, well, we know what happened there. It's got a lot riding on its shoulders, especially if it's supposed to be the beginning of this new trilogy. Yes. Starfighter may be risky, but it's also necessary. Yes, I mean, it is very necessary to continue the storyline, but it's not necessarily the case that they had to go with this brand new cast. They could have continued the story with people we know. Like, they could have been like, we're making the Grogu movie post-sequels. Grogu's going to be there. Ezra Bridger's going to be there. People who can survive beyond the sequel trilogy are going to be there. But they're going with a brand new cast. A risk, but hopefully a good one. We'll see. Let's keep going, though. Starfighter being the first part of a new trilogy that ultimately brings Rey back into the fold as she protects the new generation of Force sensitives from the dangerous threat, whatever it may be, would make Sean Levy's movie feel like more of an event instead of just a spin-off movie. You don't want it to have the feel of Solo, because the Solo movie, well, we know it didn't really, it didn't make a lot of money. It actually lost money. It didn't feel like an event. It didn't. It wasn't a part of a trilogy. They recast Harrison Ford, and it wasn't like Rogue One where it leads directly into A New Hope. I love Solo. I was actually just watching pieces of it the other day, and I was like, I got to rewatch this movie immediately. It's extremely underrated, but it wasn't an event. This movie needs to feel like an event. Brady, what's up? How we doing? The diehard Star Wars fans will likely show up on opening weekend regardless. I mean, I'll be there. I'm sure you'll be there too. Regardless of what Starfighter's plot is. But tying it so closely to the sequels would give general audiences a real reason to care about the movie. Some more than others, because you know how sequel trilogy goes. It becomes a lot easier to sell to the public if it's positioned as the next chapter in the larger Star Wars story, as opposed to seemingly random standalone and minimal connections to anything. Now, that brings up the question of, will this be episode 10? Tell me, actually, let's put up a poll here. Let's put up a poll. Oh my God. This poll is 50-50. Oh, wait, no, 51-49. 51-49. One of the closest polls we've ever had. That's crazy. Are you excited for the Rey movie? 51% of you say no. 49% of you say yes. So how can Lucasfilm get that number way up? That's the goal. And I think if Starfighter is the beginning of a trilogy with the Rey movie in it as the second episode, there's your no-brainer. That's how you get people excited, is have a success before it. That sets up a great story. Well, let's put up a new poll. Do you think, hang on, I don't even remember what I was going to do this poll now. Where was I? What was the poll going to be, chat? I'm losing my mind now. People need a real reason to care about it. Blah, 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 blah. What was my poll going to be, chat? Somebody read my mind. Minimal connections. Oh, I remember. Do you think Starfighter will be the beginning of a new trilogy? Yes or no? Yes or no? What do we think? I would have to agree. I'm not a big Rey fan, but putting her in Starfighter may boost her popularity. 100%. If it's a good movie. That's the big thing about The Mandalorian and Grogu and this Starfighter film. They have to be good. Let's be honest. We want them to be good, but they have to be good. So if Rey is in that, and her sort of appearance is a good one, and gets people excited for the next movie, then you've won. If you're Lucasfilm, that's a massive success. But only time will tell. I think Starfighter won't be a trilogy, but it will set up the next trilogy. Interesting. Maybe like a Rogue One, but Rogue One before the originals come out. Interesting. Interesting. Lucasfilm likes their trilogies. Well, Star Wars works in trilogies. Other than Rogue One and Solo, those two movies we just talked about, everything's a trilogy. Everything. As the great Luthen once said. So it makes sense that you assume all these new movies are going to be trilogies, as they should be. 'Cause that's how Star Wars works. Honestly, I hope it's a trilogy because I miss it. I mean, that's a valid point. I miss it too. The hype of a trilogy is unlike any other. When you're in the middle of it, think about the time of people predicting who Snoke was in between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Those 2 years were insane. people coming up with the wild theories of this, that, the other thing. Who is Rey? Who her parents are? All of it. It was great. We need more of that. You have some of it with like Ahsoka season 2, which we'll talk about today, because Ahsoka season 1 ends on this crazy cliffhanger of Bale and Skull standing on some Mortis god statues, looking at a glimmer of light in the distance. You have Ahsoka in a new galaxy with Force Ghost Anakin there. You have Thrawn making it back to the galaxy as the heir to the Empire. We've been speculating about Ahsoka season 1 Ahsoka season 2 since the first season ended 2 years ago. So that's a sort of a small sample size of what a trilogy can be. I also think it would be kind of like Rogue One for episode 10, a prequel to the new trilogy. I really don't want the next movie post sequels to be called episode 10. Episode 10 infers that it's a continuation of the Skywalker saga. I want the Skywalker saga to end with 9. 1 to 9, and that's it. You can start a new saga, start with episode 1, or chapter 1, or whatever you want to call it. But I want the Skywalker saga to be over. That's it. We can move on. Yes, you can have connections to the Skywalkers. Rey, of course, still being trained by Luke and Leia. And maybe even Luke's child is there, but I don't want it to be episode 10. Maybe I'm in the minority there. Maybe I am. But I don't know. Do you guys want more continuation of the Skywalker saga? Do you want episode 10, 11, 12? Or do you want it to be something new? What do we think? Let the Skywalkers rest in peace? Exactly. They did their job. You know? Anakin, Order 66, he did his job there. Return of the Jedi, he comes back. Luke brings him back. They did their job there. Luke and Leia train Rey to be able to defeat Palpatine. They did their job there. Let them rest. Let them rest. No to Star Wars 10? I agree. No to Star Wars 10. A new Jedi saga, I suppose? Yeah, I don't know what they would call it. I don't know what a new saga would be. But it's time to move on. Because you're going to move on eventually. Think about when we get to the Old Republic. You're not going to be calling that episode -10, episode -1, -2, -3. It's not going to do that. So you're going to, at some point, have to start a new saga, whether it be the Old Republic or post-sequels or anywhere. Might as well start now. You might as well start now. New characters and new stories? Yeah. I mean, you'll still have connections to the old stories with characters like Rey and Finn, etc. But you'll have a bunch of brand new ones too. Even the Mandoverse. It's inside the Skywalker saga, and there's Luke showing up every once in a while, but it's brand new characters, and it's got its own story working for it. Yeah. I really don't care what they call it. Well, that's yeah, I guess. Why not? All right, let's keep reading. So they need the general audiences to care about the movie. It becomes a lot easier to sell to the public position if it's a larger part of instead of just a standalone with minimal connections. As the first real test for Lucasfilm's film division after the extended movie hiatus following the Rise of Skywalker in 2019, it's imperative to make Starfighter feel like a massive event. While the sequel trilogy was divisive, each installment grossed over $1 billion. So, there would be an investment in a continuation of the sequel trilogy story. Again, the same reason I think, or another reason as to why I think The Mandalorian and Grogu will make $1 billion. Each sequel movie made $1 billion. It's also worth remembering that Lucasfilm previously struggled with the standalone adventure movies. Solo, a Star Wars story, is the only Star Wars movie to bomb at the box office, only grossing just under $400 million worldwide. That is the fate of Lucasfilm's Watts Starfighter to avoid. While Solo has a fun heist movie, has received generally positive reviews, and Again, I think it's extremely underrated. It is likely seen as a fairly disposable entry in the Star Wars canon by many. I mean, you don't have to watch Solo for anything in Star Wars to make sense, at least at this point. Maybe when Maul comes out, it'll be a necessity, but right now it's pointless. Like, you don't really need to watch Solo. It's just a fun little adventure. Starfighter needs to be important, not like Solo. Viewers were unable to shake the thought that Solo was a generic prequel that didn't add much despite revolving around one of the franchise's most iconic characters. In contrast, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, was seen as a valuable addition, given how deeply rooted it was in A New Hope. The connection gave audiences reasons to care about the ensemble of new characters that all died at the end of the movie, and Rogue One made $1 billion. There could be a lot of value in tying Starfighter into past movies and emphasizing those connections in marketing. So again, if this is going to be like Mara Jade is played by Amy Adams and Luke Skywalker's son is the main character, maybe you want to market that to get more people excited, or a tease at Rey and Finn or some connections to the past stories. And here's where we come down to the Rey movie specifically. Could Starfighter save the Rey movie? The rumors about Rey possibly having a cameo in Starfighter are interesting, as Lucasfilm has been developing a standalone Rey spin-off for years. Tentatively titled Star Wars New Jedi Order, the film is supposed to pick up roughly 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker and follow Rey as she starts her new Jedi Temple. As intriguing as that premise sounds, Lucasfilm has unfortunately had trouble getting New Jedi Order off the ground. The project has cycled through multiple writers and still remains without an official release date. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't want it to be the first Star Wars movie, and it's not going to be. And now it's sort of stuck in this little limbo area. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rey movie started filming either early or mid next year, if it is going to be the one that's right after Starfighter. It's unknown what exactly is causing problems behind the scenes on New Jedi Order, but perhaps Starfighter could help it get back on track. As the first Star Wars movie or show that takes place after The Rise of Skywalker on the franchise's timeline, Starfighter will likely have to do some legwork to establish the current state of galactic affairs following the defeat of the First Order. Like I've mentioned a million times before on this live stream, what happens after Rise with the government, with the powers that be in the galaxy? Who's in control? That's stuff that we need answered in not just Starfighter, but the Rey movie too. Additionally, if Starfighter's villains are pursuing a Force sensitive for nefarious purposes, they seem like a group that would eventually draw an interest in Rey and her so-called New Jedi Order. So Starfighter could lay the foundation for a New Jedi Order to build from. Narratively, it can pick things up from having Rey take over as Flynn Gray's character's protector as she deals with the villains who are carried over from one film to the next, which would be great because now you have the character or the actor of Matt Smith and Mia Goth going for multiple movies. Matt Smith has been in talks to be a Star Wars character for years. At one point, he was going to play a young Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker. A long, long time he's been in talks for Star Wars. They're not going to bring him to Starfighter and then just kill him off in the first movie. He'll be a returning character and likely a pretty big threat to the galaxy. So, this could, in a way, or be the way, for Star Wars to essentially have its cake and eat it too. Standalone movies are more likely to appealing prospects for the in-demand talent of Ryan Gosling and Amy Adams, but their characters wouldn't necessarily need to appear in New Jedi Order, especially if she's Mara Jade and is dead. But Starfighter can still work basically as a one-off, but the dynamic between Ryan Gosling's character and his so-called nephew, telling a self-contained story with the promise of more if fans are interested. A continuation. but Rey's involvement would add some weight to the proceedings and make Starfighter matter and be important within the larger context of the franchise, which is very, very important. So that is the gist of it. That is how Starfighter specifically can save or elevate or make people far more excited for the Rey movie. And it all depends on this one movie. So if you thought that Starfighter had a lot riding on it before, it's got a lot more now. A lot more now. All fans' opinions on the sequel trilogy could be changed, or at least a little bit more open-minded if Starfighter is a success. If it does do what we're hoping it does with setting up a future story with Flynn Gray's character being Force sensitive, Matt Smith, Mia Goth's evil characters trying to capture this Force sensitive, it could lead into something really, really good for a quote-unquote Rey movie, New Jedi Order movie, whatever you want to call it. But with that being said, tell me in the chat, do you think... Actually, you know what? Let's pull this up. Actually, I take it back. We just put out that poll. I'm going to leave it up for a second. By the way, 76% of you guys think that it will be the beginning of a new trilogy. And I hope you're right, because that would make the Rey movie the second installment of that trilogy. And that would just be good news. Good news, Mark. Okay, let's... On the topic of Rey, we have a new project that was announced, or that came out today. New Star Wars project that came out today. If you follow... wait, what? Oh, here we go. So, a new... What the hell? Why you do this? Why? Okay, let's do this instead. So, we have two new projects. One being announced this weekend at New York Comic Con, and this Rey book that came out today. So this just happened today. The Jaws of Jakku, a new audio drama exclusive to Audible, is out now. So this book is only on Audible, I guess. Is a story that takes place after the events of The Last Jedi, but before The Rise of Skywalker, and follows Rey as she returns to Jakku, hoping to find a breakthrough in her Jedi training. So, if you want more Rey, there you have it. The other one, which is far more interesting to me, maybe I will check out that book, I'm not too sure yet, but the other one that's far more interesting to me is this. Wait, shit. Oh, here we go. Crap, poof, poop, yeah. This. New Star Wars Legacy. First of all, that's a pretty great name. Star Wars Legacy novel revealed before Lucasfilm publishing panel at New York Comic Con. Happy New York Comic Con weekend. I don't know how much news we'll get from this. Maybe just this book. I don't know. But it is this weekend. The convention kicks off today in New York City. If you're expecting big Star Wars news, you'll have to settle for a usual dose of Lucasfilm publishing and Hasbro announcements at conventions not named Star Wars Celebration or D23. So here was the big news. This coming soon, Star Wars Legacy book. Now, some of you may look at Star Wars Legacy and wonder if it's like a fan favorite Legacy comics from the Legends, where it becomes canon from in some sort of fashion. It's unlikely that Lucasfilm is ready to jump 100 years into the future and then sort of tell previous stories from post Rise of Skywalker without a film first. So that's probably not what's happening here. It's just a generic title, possibly. I really don't know what this could be about. I mean, yes, you have that with nice Cade Skywalker on the cover. But either way, that's a new project that will be announced this weekend at at New York Comic Con. That's pretty cool. Now let's switch our gears over a little bit here. Let's go Mandalorian and Grogu first, and then we'll talk about Ahsoka, because Ahsoka, as you guys know, I could talk about forever. So let's talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu first. Tonight is the premiere of Tron Ares, okay? And with that, if I can pull this up real quick. By the way, is anybody going to give me a 1 into the chat if you're going to see Tron Ares this weekend at any point? Are you going to see this movie? There's been some pretty mixed reviews when it comes to this film. A lot of negative ones, but I have seen some positive ones. I loved Tron Legacy. Speaking of Legacy, I love Tron Legacy. I've never seen the first Tron movie. I don't really have like an urge to go see this movie unless this happens. Mandalorian and Grogu teaser trailer has debuted in cinemas with the release of Tron Ares. So I'm assuming that this is the same trailer, but if there is any variation, any new scenes, anything like that, I'm going to see this movie immediately. Honestly, if they're trying to make some extra money, just a few, extra bucks, they should do that. They should edit the Mandalorian and Grogu movie just slightly so that crazy people like myself go watch the movie just to watch the trailer. Because I would do that. I'd rather eat my own kidneys than watch that movie. That's crazy. I'm willing to give it a try. Okay. Valid. But this is the hope. We do have a little bit of other Mandalorian news. This right here. Mandalorian and Grogu updates. There have been more on location shoots for this movie compared to the show, which means less volume, which is a complaint from many. So that's pretty good. There's a lot of action scenes described as action-packed, which, I mean, you watch the trailer, it's obviously going to be action-packed. And Matt Leonard played Zeb physically on the set. I don't know who Matt Leonard is. Hang on, let's look it up. Matt Leonard. Matt Leonard is a stunts actor and director. He's known for Avengers Endgame, Iron Man, Cowboys vs. Alien. Holy crap, what the hell? Let's see. Fast and Furious 7. Wow, he's been in a lot of stuff. Okay, well, there's your Zeb Aurelius, at least under the suit. The voice is still the same guy, but that's pretty cool. So not much on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Again, we got the trailer a couple weeks ago. Probably get another trailer around Christmas time, maybe, if we're lucky. But that trailer can definitely hold us off for some time. Can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba. Now, let's talk Ahsoka Season 2. This week has been the week of all weeks when it comes to Ahsoka Season 2 news, leaks, images, all that greatness. On Tuesday, we talked for hours and hours about the greatness that was this image that Natasha Liu Bordizzo put on her story of a shadow. If I can find it. Of a shadow. Where the hell is this image? Oh, there it is. It's like I know I saved it somewhere. Of a shadow that makes everybody and anybody think of, and if it didn't, it now does, of the Mortis gods. In the same Mortis god art that was on the Lothal temple in Rebels, same way the son is holding up the fist like this, and like this, and the father is holding up the hand like that. You can see Ahsoka holding up the fist like that, and Sabine holding up the hand like that. So this made people lose their freaking minds all week, and it's great. Love that. Can never get enough of this. We're going to be talking about this until Ahsoka Season 2 comes out, I'm sure. But we do have some other stuff in terms of Ahsoka Season 2 today. Let's get to this. So Bryce Dallas Howard, who's been very, very vocal about her time with Star Wars as of recently, she's been doing a lot of interviews, is talking about Ahsoka Season 2. So she directed, I think, 2 episodes? let's just read the article and we'll go from there. Yeah, let's read the article and go from there. My bold prediction today, and this is sort of what I've come to the conclusion of, is that Ahsoka season 2, and we'll get to why in a second. Ahsoka season 2 will be the last time we see Ahsoka. Maybe not ever, but for a really long time. I think this is it. I'll get to why in a second, but let's talk about this. Frequent Star Wars director Bryce Dallas Howard reveals why she keeps returning to the saga and hypes up Ahsoka season 2. In 2019, Star Wars finally made the jump to live-action TV with The Mandalorian. That show had an impressive lineup of directors for the first season. I was actually just recently watching the gallery episodes on Disney Plus from Mando season 1. Have you guys watched the gallery from season 1 of The Mandalorian, or all seasons, I guess, on Disney Plus? If you haven't watched it, it's like behind the scenes stuff for The Mandalorian. It's awesome, but yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. But it does have a very impressive lineup of directors for that first season. But one name many were surprised to see among the roster was the name of Bryce Dallas Howard. Although she had directed short films in the past, Howard was best known for her acting career. Her first episode of The Mandalorian marked her television directing debut, and the impressive results spoke for themselves. She has become a fan favorite when it comes to Star Wars fans because people want her to direct Star Wars movies now. They want her to get her own shows as well. Yeah. I think Ahsoka season 2 will be a tease towards Dave's movie. Oh, 100%. But I don't think Ahsoka's going to be in there. Yeah. It's only on Blu-ray, right? No. Star Wars Gallery is on Disney Plus. I'll show you right now. Star Wars Gallery is on, the Mandalorian Gallery episodes are on Disney Plus. So if you come to Disney Plus, you go to the search thing, and you search The Mandalorian. It's right there, the gallery. All 3 seasons. So season 1 is the longest. It's got 8 episodes. It goes through the directors, like the technology, the score, all that stuff, the process of making the show. Season 2, you had 2 episodes. It was the making of season 2, and then all just about the finale with Luke showing up. And then season 3 only got 1 episode, but it was an hour long. So there's that. So, yeah, if you've not watched that, definitely go watch it. It's awesome. But going back, in the years since, Bryce Dallas Howard has returned to direct for each subsequent season of The Mandalorian, as well as the Book of Boba Fett and Skeleton Crew. Soon, she will have yet another Star Wars show to add to her resume, as she has recently finished up principal photography on 2 episodes. So I was right, 2 episodes of Ahsoka's second season. She's getting 2. Ron, what's up? Mike, you really think that Dave Filoni's favorite character won't be in his movie? Yes, I do. I actually do. I do. And you guys know how big of a Ahsoka fan I am, okay? I still don't think she'll be there. We'll get into it, okay? In a conversation with People magazine, Howard talked about why she finds herself often coming back to the direct stories in George Lucas's beloved galaxy. We've seen this stuff before, but a lot of it is new too. So she says, I love it so much, blah, blah, blah. I yearn for the minds to stay. It's such a stupid joke. My brain is so broken. Okay. Let me compose myself really quickly. She yearns for the minds to stay on the path to be able to be in that world and grow and learn and challenge herself. But also, it's not just about me. It's about the medium. So many people want to do things in Star Wars, and you have to kind of look at the reasons why. Star Wars is the GOAT. It's the best. It's the peak of all peaks. People want to be there. So, it's because it brings you back to your childhood. Or is it because it brings you back to your childhood? Is it because you think that it's the way that you want to make a lot of money? That doesn't hurt. Is it because You are very connected to the audience and you want to deliver an experience. What is the motivation? A lot of people want to get to Star Wars because it is the top of the top. It still is. Even if people are like, oh, Star Wars has fallen off, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It still is the top of the top. At this point, Howard is one of the most prolific directors of live action Star Wars series, having helmed 7 episodes across 4 shows and now 2 more. Or I guess maybe they included those? I don't know. Given that she worked on so many projects for Lucasfilm, Howard has noticed some similarities in how they're managed. Specifically, the filmmakers behind each show always try to make the most of their resources, no matter how substantial their budget is. So this is what we have not read yet. They're very efficient in terms of resources because they know, well, there is access to resources that most projects wouldn't have. They don't have to take advantage of that. They don't want to make a $300 million TV show. They want to keep the budget to a not excessive level. They want to stretch the budget as far as they can. And again, you see that with especially the Mandoverse projects, but the quality of the content. Me and Sam just watched we watched Ahsoka. No, sorry, not Ahsoka. The Acolyte. And the biggest thing that she said was, holy crap, visually, this show is incredible. Like, just visually incredible. And that's something that we sort of gloss over as Star Wars fans. The Disney Plus quality value, especially with the Mandoverse stuff, is incredible. Like, it's movie quality. And that's what comes from, again, stretching that budget as much as you can. You want every dollar to be on screen. It's using the indie mentality of like, okay, how can we get this in a way that's efficient and economical and serve the story? That's kind of why they bring on all those directors that are kind of unknowns, like a Bryce Dallas Howard. It's her first actual directing a TV show. And sometimes, as you know, the limitations obviously often give birth to the greatest of ideas, as you can see with the stuff that happens on Disney Plus. Next year, fans, we'll get to see even more of Bryce Dallas Howard work once Ahsoka Season 2 arrives on Disney Plus, which, by the way, we do have a little bit of an update in terms of a release date. Nothing official, but filming just finished on Tuesday, and filming of Season 1 also finished in October of the year prior to the release. So that would mean that Ahsoka Season 2 is likely to come out around the end of August/September spot. And that makes perfect sense because The Mandalorian and Grogu is in May. You'll let The Mandalorian and Grogu come out and be hopefully a big box office summer blockbuster movie. So it stays in theaters until June, July, maybe into August. And then it comes to a close in theaters in early August, late July. And then you have Ahsoka to end August or start September so that you can go right into the next thing. So it makes sense. But that's the update. Okay. Unsurprisingly, she was full of praise for the upcoming episodes. So this is what she had to say about Ahsoka Season 2. Y'all, it's so good. So good. It's beautiful. It's thrilling. It's adventurous. It's romantic. Now, people have been harping on this. It's romantic. What does that mean? Who's got the romance? I've only come to one conclusion on this as I've mulled it over in my head, and that is Grand Admiral Thrawn and Admiral Akbar. Those two are destined to be together. No, I'm kidding. Well, the only sort of romance that we had from Season 1 would have been Sabine and Ezra. But those two are galaxies apart. Literally. They're galaxies apart. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. What's the romance they're talking about here? It's all the things you want from this epic story. I just got finishing up with that, and I'm working on a cut. So it's just one of the greatest privileges and joys of my life getting to play in that sandbox Ahsoka Season 1 ended with a lot of plot lines unresolved and characters in unusual places, as we talked about earlier. And time will tell how effectively the next round of episodes capitalize on the potential of the series demonstrated in its debut. But it reassures that capable and passionate directors are behind the camera, much like Bryce Dallas Howard. So, with that, of course, my excitement for the second season goes up yet another notch, which I thought was impossible after the Mortis God stuff the other day. But when do I think there'll be a Maul release date? Maul Shadow Lord, I think, will come out before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Because when you look at next year, it's a very, 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 very jam-packed year. Hang on. Sam is texting me. Chat, say hello to Samantha in the chat. I'm telling her that chat says hello, so you have to say hi. So, next year's a very, very jam-packed year. You have Maul Shadow Lord, The Mandalorian and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2, and, I always forget about this, and the Visions Season 3 spinoff of The Ninth Jedi. So, how I see it is we're going to, and that's all we know about. We could get a Tales season or something like that, but how I see it is Maul Shadow Lord will be sort of that February to March/April release schedule in there somewhere, that early part of the year. Then Mandalorian and Grogu will be May to July/August. Then Ahsoka will be August or September till October or November. And then to end the year, you'll get The Ninth Jedi in either November or December. A jam-packed year. Literally nowhere in there is a stoppage of Star Wars content, except for the first month of the year, January. So from February on, it's just Star Wars content. Maul, we don't know how many episodes it will be, but if it stays on the same path as the book of the Bad Batch, that's 16 episodes or 15 episodes. That's 15 weeks, maybe 13 if they double up a couple episodes. 13 weeks of Maul. However many weeks the Mandalorian and Grogu's in theaters for, at least, I'd guess 16. So at least 16 to 20 weeks of Mandalorian and Grogu. Another 8 weeks of Ahsoka. And then, I don't know what they're doing with The Ninth Jedi, if that's like all going to be released at once, but it's going to be a crazy year. An absolutely insane year for Star Wars content next year. Yeah. Hey, Sam, get to the Bad Batch. We're not on the Bad Batch yet. We're still watching Revenge of the Sith. We're about halfway through Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. What? Hey, Sam, come back and save us as soon as possible from Mike. What? Wait till you see. I'm a shill. Wait till you see what she thinks of the Acolyte. You know? Yeah. Yeah.
I got a bad feeling about this.
You guys are crazy. By the way, she said, I hate chat. You guys suck. That's her words, not mine. Her words. I'm just kidding. She said, I wish I was streaming with you instead of at work. Well, come home, quit your job, and join the stream. Send. Okay. Good. Jeez, chat. Sam, what's up? Says, a different Sam. Says, who's your favorite character in Star Wars? I'm glad you asked. That's actually the perfect segue, Sam, and you don't even know. Sam Blakely, everybody, with the perfect segue into what we're doing next. We'll come back to Ahsoka Season 2 in a second, but this, it caught my attention. We'll put it that way. It caught my attention. So, Empire Magazine, or Empire.com, I don't even know. Do magazines exist anymore? They posted their top 50 Star Wars characters all time. So I'll give you my top 3, or maybe even top 10 if I want. But check out this top 50. So my top 3, I've always said, is Anakin, Ahsoka, and Maul. It still is. Next year, we're getting a Maul series, an Ahsoka series, and Anakin's going to be in that Ahsoka series, so I'm living it up. I'm having a great time over here. But check out this list. The 50 greatest Star Wars characters of all time. This This is a surprise to be sure, but we'll see about the welcome one. The Star Wars galaxy is populated with an entire... Okay, we don't have to get to this. Let's get to the top 50. At number 50, Asajj Ventress. Pretty good. I mean, she deserves to be in the top 50, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. 49, Neil. Now, this is great. Don't get me wrong. Love Neil. He's fantastic. Is he better than Asajj Ventress? Is he better than Asajj Ventress? I don't know. Neil. Okay. We continue. 49's Neil. 48's K2SO. Nice. Solid. 47's Vice Admiral Holdo. What are we doing? I hate this list already. Oh my God. Yeah. Thoughts on the list now? Still going good? Still going strong? Sam has not responded to me telling her to quit her job, so we'll just keep going. 46, Admiral Akbar. Okay, good. He might even bump up if he gets a pretty good role in Ahsoka Season 2. 45, Babu Frick. You gotta love Babu. Hey. Captain Rex. Too low. Too low for Captain Rex. 44. Kanan Jarrus. Probably too low, too. Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, granted, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Thrawn hasn't really been explored that much in live action, in animation. He's still got time. 41, General Grievous. Nice. Love that. 40, Rose Tico is better than Grand Admiral Thrawn, General Grievous, and Kanan Jarrus. No offense to Rose. She has like 1/30th the screen time of Kanan Jarrus. Probably less than that, actually. But I digress. Moff Gideon. Okay. Kanan Jarrus, Moff Gideon. What are we even talking about here? Ezra Bridger. Okay. Pretty good. Still think Ezra's probably in my top 10, but sure. Yep. Baylan Skull. Okay. Baylan Skull's a good character. Don't get me wrong. Mace Windu. I assume that many of you have Mace Windu a lot higher than number 36 on your list. But continuing. Cyril Khan. All right. I Season 1 Cyril just eats a bunch of cereal. Season 2 Cyril, love him. So I guess I'll let it slide. It's not better than Ezra Bridger, but okay. Qui-Gon Jinn at 34. Maybe a little bit low. You guys are loving this list. Wow, you guys are 100% on board with this entire list so far. You guys are crazy. This list is so bad. This list sucks. Dog shit list. Oh my God. Okay, calm down. We're only at number 34. Qui-Gon Jinn. Master Soul. That'll spark some conflict. Master Soul. Kino Loy. Way too high. Love Kino. He's in 2 episodes, 3 episodes at most. He's got a good arc. He's not better than Ezra Bridger. Oh. Chopper. I love you, buddy. Okay? Don't kill me. I know you sit behind me every stream. Don't kill me. You are nowhere close. Kanan Jarrus. Grand Admiral Thrawn. Baylan Skull even. What are we talking about? I love Chopper. But what are we talking about here? Continuing. Number 30, Dedra Miro. Clearly some Andor fans. And hey, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Andor fan too. Dedra Miro at 30 is crazy. 29 Stranger, way too low. Now, yes, I'll give him that there's only 1 season of The Acolyte, and there won't be a second season. So I guess, yeah, not enough screen time type deal. If there was a second season, he'd be a lot higher. 28, Padme Amidala. Pretty good. Padme's got a lot of screen time. The Clone Wars definitely helps. Tarkin at 27. You're telling me the Grand Moff Tarkin is better than Padme Amidala? Or even Ezra Bridger? Or Neil? What are we even talking about here? 28, 26, sorry. Boba Fett, not bad. Jabba the Hutt, okay. I'm liking the turn, but he's not better than Ezra. I mean, maybe this is like the image is wrong because Ezra is Jabba the Hutt. Maybe that's where we went wrong there. Maybe. We are now into the top 25 characters in all of Star Wars. Are you ready? Are you ready? Finn. Thoughts? We just went over how Finn's arc is not done correctly or not done to the best of its ability in the sequels, and it should get more storytelling. I think with more storytelling, Finn could be a top 25 character. Not right now. C-3PO. Love it. Poe Dameron. Okay, some sequel love. Mon Mothma. After Andor Season 2, she definitely deserves to be up here, for sure. Now we're in the top 20. Darth Maul. I have him at number 3. They have him at 20. To each their own. Finn over Neil. Where's Broom Boy on this list? He must have just missed it. He must be 51. He must have just missed it. 19, BB-8. BB-8 is better than Darth Maul. What kind of world do we live in here, chat? Number 18, Ahsoka Tano. 18? You're telling me that there's 18 characters better than Ahsoka Tano on this list coming up? Oh my God. There's no way. At this point, the Vespa gang's going to be top 5. There is no way that there is 18 characters on this list that are better than Ahsoka Tano. There's no way. I don't even want to see what number 17 is. There's absolutely no way. Lando Calrissian. Are you kidding me? Love Lando, don't get me wrong. He is not better than Ahsoka Tano. Not in any world. Din Djarin. I love me some Pedro Pascal. Better than Ahsoka? What are we even talking about? What dimension did we just travel into? All right. Top 15. Palpatine. I'm going to lose it. I should have read this list beforehand. I just saw that they made a top 50 list, and I was like, this is going to be good. What? You're telling me there are 15 characters better than Palpatine? We just got over last stream talking about how underrated Palpatine is as a character. In the prequels, he creates a whole galaxy-wide war that he's the leader of both sides. During the original trilogy, he's the emperor of the known galaxy, and he even finds a way to come back and live and create a new First Order and a Final Order all the way to the sequel trilogy. He's so underrated, one of the greatest villains of all time. Not just Star Wars, of all time. And they're going to sit here and tell me that he's 15th? Who made this list? Empire. The Empire made this list, and he's not even number 1. His freaking people made this list, and he's not even number 1. Okay, while we get into the top 15 here, let me see your top 10. Let's see a top 5, top 10 list of your favorite characters, okay? And we can freak out about this list too. 14, Grogu. Okay. Grogu, cute, good character. He's not better than Ahsoka, not better than Palpatine. Not even close, but okay. Okay, all right. Okay. Anakin's 13? Okay, I can kind of look past Ahsoka. She's a majority animated character. She's not in a single movie. Palpatine's weird. Anakin is 13? What? How's that even possible? I can't think of 13 other characters off in any sort of anything, in anything ever that's better than Anakin Skywalker. This is crazy. Who is above this? We haven't seen Obi-Wan yet. He must be above this. We haven't seen Rey yet. Is she above this? R2, I guess. We haven't seen him. Who else have... What is going on? 13? Unless they separated Darth Vader and Anakin as two different characters, which again is still bad. What is the next 12 characters? R2-D2. Okay. All right, fine. R2-D2 is a great character. Not better than Anakin by any means. He's a great character, though. I'll give him that. Cassian. Cassian Andor? Are we serious right now? I loved me some Andor Season 2. Don't get me wrong. But you're going to sit here, look me in the eyes, and tell me that Cassian Andor is better than Anakin Skywalker? On what planet? Cassian's great. He's not even the best character in his own show. All right, we're in the top 10 now, chat. I thought we'd maybe get to top 10 unscathed, but here we are. Anakin was at 13. Ahsoka was like, what, 20? Palpatine was at 15. Top 10, here we go. Top 10 greatest Star Wars characters of all time. This list is fact, by the way. Fact. Here we go. We haven't seen Yoda yet. That's true. Haven't seen Yoda. Or Luke. We haven't seen Luke. True. All right, here we go. Top 10. Rey. Nice. Nice. As you guys are aware, the sequel trilogy is not my favorite. I don't hate it by any means. Don't hate it at all. Rey, as a character, she's a good character. I like Kylo Ren more. I like Babu Frick a little bit more. I think Rey has a big upside as a character. She's good in the sequels. I think she could be a lot better in a post-sequel world. Now that she's been trained by Luke and now she's the sort of headmaster, I think she could have a good arc post-sequels. I don't hate this pick, but over Anakin Skywalker is crazy. Okay. Number 9, Obi-Wan. Yeah, woohoo. Yes, fantastic. This is the first good pick of the list. First good pick of the list. Number 9, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Still trying to figure out how there's 9 characters better than Obi-Wan when Anakin and Palpatine are gone, and Ahsoka is gone, and Maul is gone. Still can't really figure out that math there. I think we're in for a rude awakening here. But number 9, pretty good. You know, number 9, great. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Number 8, Chewbacca. Not horrible. In no world is he better than Obi-Wan, Anakin, Palpatine, Ahsoka, or Darth Maul. Not horrible. Not horrible. We haven't seen Han Solo yet either. 7, Kylo Ren. Okay. Kylo Ren's my favorite character in the sequels. I like that. Kylo would maybe be in my top 10 characters. Maybe. He'd be a border guy. That's not horrible. Come again? Luthen? Luthen. All right, let me start by saying that Luthen is my favorite character from Andor. Like by far. Favorite character from Andor is Luthen. I love me some Andor. Andor Season 2 is a masterpiece. Is Luthen better than Anakin Skywalker Obi-Wan Kenobi? Palpatine? No. Not in this world, the next, or the one before it. Luthen's like a good character. Don't get me wrong. If he was at like 15, where Palpatine is, I'd be like, yeah, sure, great. That's where he should be. You know, that's fantastic. What are we talking about? Top 5. We're in the top 5 now, and I have no idea what to expect. Yoda, okay, all right, Yoda, top 5. I'm sure a lot of you actually have Yoda top 5. That's fine. Yoda's good. Love me some Yoda. Number 4, Leia Organa. Okay. My thing with Leia is she's underutilized. I think in the sequel trilogy, she should have had, try saying that 10 times fast, she should have had a lot more screen time. Now, obviously, with the passing of Carrie Fisher, that wasn't able to happen in the last film. But in the first two, she should have had a bigger role. And there's still room for more Leia in the in-between trilogies with getting some Leia there. So, not terrible. Still think that she's very, very underutilized in the story of Star Wars. Number 3, Luke Skywalker. Okay, that makes sense too. Luke Skywalker, still underutilized as a character. Not Leia is more underutilized, but there's still a lot of story to be told with Luke and Leia and Han for that matter. So not bad, not bad. Now we're into the top 2 characters of all time. Any guesses, Chet? I mean, we haven't seen Han Solo, so he's got to be one of those. But who's the other one? We saw Yoda, we saw Anakin, we saw Obi-Wan, we saw Maul, we saw Ahsoka, we saw Palpatine. Vader? So you think they turned him into 2 characters? Let's see. Darth Vader. Okay. This is I'll accept this, okay? They are one. Contrary to Anakin and / Darth Vader's beliefs, Anakin's gone, I am what remains. They are technically one character. Anakin is Anakin as a youngling. He's Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. He's Anakin in A New Hope. He's Anakin in Return of the Jedi. Even though he wants to think he's not, he still is. So that to me, I guess, yes, you can split that up. Number 1, Han Solo. I mean, I saw this coming, but a lot of people love Han, you know. This list sucked. This list sucked. Let's go back for some highlights. So, Han Solo at 1 is not like the end of the world. If they like Han Solo, sure. Vader being split into Anakin and Vader is stupid. Luke being at 3 is like whatever. Leia, underutilized. Yoda's good. Luthen is crazy at 6. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Kylo Ren at 7's all right. Chewie at 8 is too high. Kenobi at 9 is probably too low, but 9 is sort of a good place for him to be. Rey at 10 is too high. Cassie at 11 is way too high. R2 at 12 is pretty good. Anakin at 13 is a disgrace. Grogu at 14 is too high. Palpatine at 15 is a disgrace. Din Djarin higher than Ahsoka and Maul is just ridiculous. Lando is too high. Ahsoka is way too low. BB-8 is too high. Maul is way too low. Mon Mothma could be higher, I think. Mon could go a little bit higher. Poe Dameron, 22 is not bad for Poe. C-3PO should be higher. Finn could be good there, I think. Jabba, too high. I mean, let's be honest. Jabba has 30 minutes of screen time at most across everything? Too high. Boba Fett, too low. Boba Fett, too low. Tarkin, honestly, not even top 50. Padme, too low. Stranger, too low. Dedra, honestly, all in all, after seeing this whole list, this is a pretty good spot for Dedra. Chopper, too high. Love Chopper, still too high. Kino Loy, way too high. Soul, yeah, I mean, around the 30s and 40s, I'd put Soul. Qui-Gon Jinn, way too low. Way too low. Cyril, probably good, around there. Mace Windu, too low. Balin Skull, maybe a little bit higher, but not too much higher. Like he's good there. Maybe season 2 will change that. Ezra Bridger, this is probably my biggest gripe of the whole list. This is my biggest gripe of the entire list. 38 for Ezra Bridger is insanely too low. Insane. Yeah. Moff Gideon, that's all right. Rose, too high. General Grievous, way too low. Thrawn, we haven't gotten a lot of Thrawn in live action and in animation yet, but still too low. Kanan, way too low. Rex, oh my god, I forgot they put Rex at 44. Way too low. Insane. Babu Frick, sure, for fun. Admiral Akbar, fine, whatever. Admiral Holdo does not deserve to belong anywhere near this list. K2SO, sure, why not? Maybe a little bit higher. Neil, for fun, I like that. Putting him on there. And Asajj Ventress, way too low. All in all, pretty shitty list. Pretty garbage, but hey, that's the best part about being a Star Wars fan, is my list is completely different. And that doesn't mean that I'm not a Star Wars fan as much as this person's a Star Wars fan, whoever made this list. But that's the best part, you know? It's a crappy list to me. To them, it's their best list ever. What are you going to do? That's the best part. So tell me your top 5 Star Wars characters in the chat. Let's see what your guys' list would be. Top 5. Let's see it. Mike, odd question. If you were tasked by the father of Mortis and the Watcher to make different ships between Marvel and Star Wars characters to create the most OP being ever, who would you pick? So 2 characters to make the most powerful child? One from Star Wars, one from Marvel? So you're assuming that if these 2 have a child, that their child will be as powerful as the 2 combined? Anakin in Revenge of the Sith before he gets destroyed. And Scarlet Witch. Wanda. Those 2 combined, unstoppable. Yeah. All right, let's see the top 5. Vader, Maul, Mando, Chimere, Cassian. Not bad. Cassian's pretty high. But I love it. Thrawn, Vader, Thrawn, Boba, Anakin, Cal. Cal Kestis. Cal Kestis wasn't even on this list. Crazy. Yeah, who was missing from this list? Who should have been on this list but wasn't? Let's figure that out. Ahsoka, Kanan, Mon, Obi-Wan. Nice. Palps, Vader, Luke, R2, C-3PO. Great list. Vader, Luthen at 2. Crazy. Luke, Din, Cassian. Holy Andor fan. Yaddle? Oh, Yaddle and the Hulk having a kid together. Vader, Sidious, Yoda, Luke, Maul. A lot of dark side people over here. No Dooku. No Count Dooku on this list is crazy. No Bad Batch members either. Yeah, I mean, you could throw a Bad Batch guy on there. Crosshair, yeah, you could throw Crosshair. What's your favorite Star Wars planet? I mean, if I wanted to live on one, probably Naboo. But I mean, I don't know. That's tough. No animation on the list? Well, no. Ezra, Kanan, Thrawn, Ahsoka. There was some animation. Yeah. Yeah. Omega, Tech, Crosshair. I feel like they missed somebody big, and I can't think of any. Let's go through the movies. Did they miss anybody big from The Phantom Menace? No. Qui-Gon was too low. But Attack of the Clones, they missed Count Dooku, which is insane. Revenge of the Sith. No. Bad Batch. I guess they missed all the Bad Batch, but I don't know. We'll see. They put Neil on the list before they put any Bad Batch members. Before they put like Fennec Shand or any of those Boba Fett characters. The Vespa Gang should have been top 5 easy. before they put Jade. They put Neil. Bail Organa. That's a good one, too. Where was he at? No Jyn Erso. Jyn Erso's a good one, too. They missed Maul? No, Maul was there. Maul was like 15 or something. 17. He was too low, but he was there. No Sid?
Incorrect.
There's a reason Sid wasn't on that list, you know? Jar Jar. No Jar Jar Binks. No Jar Jar Binks. Director Krennic. True. So no, like, obvious, I can't believe that person wasn't on there, except for Count Dooku. Except for Count Dooku. For such big Andor fans, I'm surprised Bail Organa wasn't on there. Didn't see the lady from The Acolyte? Like Osha and May? Yeah, but we got some Acolyte love on there with Soul and The Stranger. Who I think were probably the two best from that show anyway. Yeah. Kalea. Yeah, for the Andor fan that this person was, no Kalea is crazy. Jabba was on it. No Inquisitors. No Grand Inquisitor. True. True. Well, there you go. Quite the epic list, if I do say so myself. No complaints at all. I think it was the perfect list. I mean, how could you make a better list than that? Let's be honest. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that. Yeah. Doesn't get much better than that. This was something I saw that was really cool. Actually, two things. One, the new Star Wars Beyond Victory game came out for the VR that we watched the trailer for last stream. And there's a hut in it. A lot of huts in Star Wars recently, but this one's pretty cool. Well, first of all, he's walking like Maul does with that thing, but his necklace is all lightsaber hilts made from pieces from Jedi Fallen Order around his neck. So let's open this image a little bit. Zoom in on it. I mean, talk about being badass. His necklace is lightsaber hilts. Jango Fett was not on that list. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a good one. That's crazy. Bo-Katan. Oh my God, Bo-Katan was on that list. Or Hera Syndulla. Yeah, that's crazy. No Cal Kestis is just blasphemy. Saw Gerrera is crazy too. So this is pretty cool. Talk about being badass. Let me wear a necklace of lightsaber hilts. Pretty cool. The other thing was this. The instruction manual for the Death Slice is the Death Star plans. That's pretty cool. So this is the back or the front maybe of the Death Slice, the $1,000 Lego Death Star thing. It's the Death Star plans. That's pretty cool. So there was that. I think we got everything. No Commander Cody, true. But they had Rex at like 44. Yeah. Dr. Aphra? They didn't, yeah, I mean, they didn't touch on any comic characters, I guess. Boba was on there, but Cody wasn't, and Jango wasn't. Yeah. I really don't know what my no Snoke, no Ewoks, no Wicket. I really don't know what my top 50 would be now. Because honestly, you don't have enough room for all those characters. I mean, yes, you kind of do, because you have to take out some of those. No Shmi Skywalker? Yeah. I wouldn't have her in my top 50 either. No Rampart, true. By the way, let's end this poll. 65% of you do think that this will be the beginning of Starfighter will be the beginning of a new trilogy. Feels like a year ago we were talking about that, but it was in the same stream. But with that, I do have to get on out of here. This was pretty cool. From my knowledge, I mean, the stream went pretty smoothly. Even though we did do this new thing where YouTube has it so we can stream to the other thing too. I guess it worked. I suppose. So we'll see. Yeah. Hondo Naka wasn't on it either. Cad Bane! Oh my god, no, Cad Bane is crazy. Yeah, that's wild. All right. But I appreciate all the hearts, guys. I really, really do. I see those hearts over there. Can we just spam the hearts? Let me see how crazy it can go. Let me see how crazy. Spam those hearts. But if you have not already, smash a freaking like on this stream. How many likes do we have? How many likes do we have, chat? Where does it tell me that now? Oh, right there. Get some more likes on the stream, please. Immediately. I appreciate it. But until next time, if you are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. But until next time, yeah, we'll try and make a better list maybe next time. Maybe. But Ahsoka Season 2, the Rey movie, the Starfighter, Mandalorian and Grogu, insane Star Wars news all around. Love it. Love it. And with that, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. This was pretty crazy. I mean, the news for Star Wars over the last month, literally month, has been insane. So hopefully this just keeps going that way, and we just have more and more and more to talk about. And before you know it, we'll be getting the trailer for Maul Shadow Lord. And we'll be doing watch parties again. It truly is the best time to be a Star Wars fan. I mean, we're just living it up over here. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.